Looking good. Looking good. Looking good. Hello, everybody. We are with the Honorable Judge
Sharon O. Johnson.
Now, you guys are probably saying to yourself, "Isn't that my chair? Like that is that is my chair." And typically, this is the guest chair, but this is the judge, and this is a judge's chair, and I can't possibly. One of the coolest things about having judges in my studio and in my show is if you ever see me later on in your courtroom, just call me Mr. Probation.
Just Mr. Probation.
Mr. Probation.
Not community service?
Just Mr. Probation.
Okay.
Just Mr. Probation.
Yeah.
Don't ever call me 60 days.
No.
IDOC.
Okay.
It's an honor, Your Honor.
Oh, well, it's truly my honor because I have heard some great things about you in Operation Chicago.
I like challenge better.
Yes, all right.
It is a challenge.
It is. It is. We are doomed to fight another day, as they say.
Yes, yes. You know, the coronavirus, I don't want to talk about that, but I have to give you credit, and it was amazing because I kind of heard it in your voice when we were talking about having you here, because we planned this a little while ago.
Yeah.
The whole world's shutting down.
Yes.
But you're still here.
Absolutely.
I'm still here.
Yes.
So we're okay.
We're committed.
We're committed.
Yes.
Coronavirus, sentence the coronavirus to life in prison.
Done.
Yeah. So a few questions.
Shoot.
You have been a judge for 10 years.
Yes.
That's a long time.
It doesn't feel like a long time. It feels like I was just sworn in 2010. Seems like it was just a year ago.
Really?
I really enjoy my work. It's good work. It's meaningful work. I'll tell you a short story. When I was at Lindblom High School, you know how you have advisors and they have you take these proficiency tests to see what area or job or skills, you would be best suited for. My advisor stated that I would be a good counselor. And I went home and told my parents, and my father said, no, they don't make enough money. You're not going to go into counseling. But it turns out they were spot on because that is what I do on a daily basis. I hear domestic relations cases and I assist people with separating, but in a manner that is least harmful, particularly to the children and to the parties themselves on a daily basis. And so a lot of that involves, counseling. If I were a therapist, I'd probably be giving some of the same advice that, a therapist does. So,
it's interesting you bring that up because I was just about to bring that up. So I have a judge in my movie from Chicago. I can't say her name now until it's released, but it was just an honor to meet her, and I got a cool experience. Her picture's in my movie, I should say. She allowed me to use the picture because I filmed at the Richard Daley Center, and she's like, all right, come meet me in my office, and we'll talk about this. Yeah. I'm like, great. I go to her office, and it's a courtroom.
Okay.
I thought it was room like 402, and I walk into a courtroom with a dispute from a father and a wife, and she's just talking, and I'm like, what kind of office is this? I thought we were going to meet
in chambers?
In chambers or something, and I was like, that's her office.
Right.
And I see family disputes are very complicated.
Yes.
Where the child should go, who the child should go with. I always claim I can do a lot in life. I can't do that job because I can't, out of good conscience, be responsible where if I send this child to the father, he goes AWOL, and something happens, that's on my conscience forever.
Sure.
And sending it to the wife, she could do the same. I don't know who the child should go to. That's always been, that's complicating.
Yes, it's difficult, but, I have faith. And many people forget that, we are just human beings and we are on a spiritual journey. And, with faith, then I have the confidence that if I do what I know I'm supposed to do, which is listen to both sides, give them equal time, hear both sides before making a decision. And we have other resources. We can appoint attorneys for children. We can have guardian ad litems, speak to school counselors, teachers, other people that may have some insight to this family structure to assist us with making those decisions. But there are occasions where if someone comes in on an emergency, we have to just, rely on our experience and sometimes a gut instinct. Of course, we know what the law is, but the facts of each case is different. And so I have to stay prayed up, on a personal note. And recognize that there's an ultimate judge, which is, our Lord and Savior, Jesus Christ, and trust that He's going to guide my steps, tell me what to do, when to do it, how to do it, what to say, when to say it. And that's where I put my faith because, but for the grace of God, there go I. I could easily be on the other side of that bench. And we can all look back at times in our life when we didn't make the best decision. And, I
always made the best decisions.
Oh, did you really?
Yeah,
okay.
I have no time in my life. I'm good. Let me ask you something. Do you like Judge Judy? Total honesty, because I'm going to tell you, so I should probably...
Well, Judge Judy...
Should I go first with that question?
Go ahead.
Let me go first, because I think I'll be able to open things up.
Yeah.
I've always looked at a judge as calm, someone who could listen, someone who has integrity, and someone who doesn't yell unless it's truly, truly, truly necessary. And and I bring this up because you mentioned a few of these things. You listen. Yes. You listen to both parties. I don't even know if Judge Judy is a real judge. I tried to look it up. God only knows. I mean, you could put anything on the internet if you pay the right amount of computer techie.
Oh, yes.
I hate the fact that she yells all the time. I can't stand the fact that the television is promoting Judge Judy as long as they did and as much as they did. And I just don't want the kids in America to get this impression of that's a judge. That's what a judge is like. No, that is not what a judge is like. This is what a judge is like. Yes. Calm. Well, where's your Starbucks? I look like a jerk.
I have Starbucks.
Yeah, I don't want people saying, how come he's drinking Starbucks and the honorable judge is not?
There's so much equipment here that it made me nervous. I didn't want to spill anything on the equipment.
Oh, I'm actually hoping that you spill something on that piece right there.
Okay.
This is a lot of...
Oh, okay. And you have insurance, I assume.
No.
No?
No.
Oh, gosh.
10 years.
Yes.
10 years. Now, you're running for the appellate court.
Right. Another way to say that is the Court of Appeals.
The Court of Appeals.
Many of us learned in 8th grade civics or preparing for the Constitution test about the branches of government and the court system. Most of us, unless you're in the legal profession, have not had any reason to think about that since then. So I find myself explaining the Court of Appeals to many voters just as a refresher. In short, if you go to the circuit court, which is our trial level, and you present all of your evidence and the judge issues a ruling, and you believe that that judge applied the wrong law or applied the law inappropriately to your particular set of facts, then you can appeal. You have an absolute right to appeal to the higher court and have a panel of judges review the ruling and determine whether or not that ruling was proper, in which case they would affirm the ruling. If they find that the ruling was incorrect, didn't apply the law appropriately or didn't apply the correct law, then they can reverse it or they can remand it back down for a new trial.
How long does that take?
Now,
Bad question.
Well, it really depends on the case, and there are panels of judges that review them.
Okay.
And so in speaking with some of my colleagues, I've learned that on average it could take up to 8 months for you to get your
that's not
ruling
that bad.
from the appellate court.
That's not bad.
And in large part, it depends on how long it takes you to file your briefs, and there are time, requirements with respect to filing the initial. But the responsive pleading, or the other party could ask for additional time in which to file their responsive pleadings, and so that can drag it out a while. Maybe the court wants oral arguments. The appellate court doesn't hear oral arguments, daily, like the circuit court would. Only certain cases will they require that you come in and actually make your argument before the justices.
You get a lot of interns who want to just hang out with you?
Oh, yes, and I welcome it.
I
have summer interns. I have local law school students, high school students. I let them come in over the summer and just observe. Now, I put them to work, too, though. I make them write orders for the pro se litigants. We have a lot of people representing themselves, and they're not as familiar with filling out all the forms. Unlike other industries, we're still paper laden, so our orders have to be handwritten sometimes, and so they help out with that, and I trust that they learn a lot in the process.
Do you have a certain favorite politician? And do you have a certain politician that you don't like? And again, would you like me to go first?
Well, I'm going to tell you.
I love Kim Fox.
Okay.
Oh my, she's an angel.
My husband, the Reverend Mitchell L. Johnson.
I like him too.
Is not an elected official, but he is certainly a politician. And
that's a good answer.
Yeah.
If I asked my girlfriend who does she like, I know really well she wouldn't say, well, my boyfriend Eric, he's...
That's because you haven't put a ring on it. That answer will change.
If I do that, I may be in your courtroom. We may be discussing another matter, and I'll be looking like this, like, you remember me? I'll let you sit in my chair, right, Your Honor? Yeah. Are there politicians that you don't like?
I'm not in a position to answer that. As a judge, I have to remain neutral.
Really?
Yes.
That's good.
I can't endorse. I can't take...
That is good. Fair, strictly by the book.
Absolutely.
No matter what.
Now, I vote. And so when I go in my
voter's
booth, absolutely. I pick who I think will serve the public the best.
Really?
But I can't go on record and say who I'm supporting.
That's good.
Yeah. You want your judges to remain neutral, which leads me to another issue. I don't think that we should be partisan. And so that's something that, I would certainly be in support of, because I think that, our judges should be strictly neutral, independent of any party affiliation, because then, the individuals who are active in the, Democratic Party organizations then have cases that come before us that we have to rule on, not just during election season. And so then that makes your judges somewhat beholden to these individuals that have, either slated you or endorsed you or, whatever the case may be, any influence that they may have had in the judicial elections. And so I think that's something that, we need to start to work on. Of course, not during election season, but, I think it's something worthy of taking a look at.
The Bible does say, when you're a judge, humble.
Absolutely.
And this is me, and I bring this example up every single time because I think it's really relevant, and he nailed it on the head. We had a former superintendent, Judy. I like to look at him as ex-FBI agent, and he was leaving the courtroom one day. News anchor asked him, how do you feel about the judge's ruling? And the ruling didn't go in his favor. And he stated to the news reporter, I don't agree with the judge's decision, but I'm certainly going to apply by it, as that's what separates peace from chaos.
Yes.
A judge makes a ruling. I put my head down, and that's it.
Right.
It's over, and that's what we have here in America.
Absolutely.
And I think very, very strongly, if everyone thought that way, they would see that the law is here to protect everyone from racism,
yes,
religious views, political views. The law is here to keep things equal.
yes.
Sometimes it works, sometimes it don't. But when you get in front of that courtroom, I know a lot of people who just put their head down like, oh
Yes.
man, I wonder.
Yeah. Well,
I wonder.
and I can tell you the best compliment that a judge can receive, and I have received this compliment several times, is when a litigant or attorney says, you didn't rule in my favor, but I felt that your ruling was fair. It was fair. I lost, but it was fair. And that's what we're there for.
Really?
Yes.
Say that, wait, hold on.
Absolutely.
Say that one more. Say that one more time.
Well, I lost,
Uh-huh.
but the ruling was fair. It's still fair. I took my shot. I made my argument, but I understand why you did what you did. I can see your point of view. And so when a litigant can tell you that.
Really?
Yes.
See, I wouldn't have, if I thought I was going to lose, I wouldn't even try.
Well.
But I think I understand.
Yeah. You've never been in a position where you say, well, I don't know, but I'm going to take a shot. We'll see what happens.
I say this all the time. Attorney General Kwame Raoul, some of his people, I said this, and I think it's fair. Since I was a teenager, there's a lot of people who say, well, this is what the judge is going to do. When we get into a courtroom, this is what the judge is going to do. And the truth of the matter is, no lawyer, no public defender, definitely not myself, knows what that honorable judge is going to do when we get in that courtroom. Because he or she may not even know what they're going to do. So for you to sit here and tell me that, you can't tell me that, what the judge is going to do.
Right.
So I'm going to take my chances. But it's interesting because in the field with lawyers, for some odd reason, at least my experience with them, they tell me what a judge is going to do. And I'm like, half the time, if anything, if not more, the judge does the complete opposite.
Yes.
And I don't think that should be legal for them to say what a judge is going to do.
Would you hire the attorney that says, I don't know, here's the law, but, I'm not sure what the judge will do. We'll take a shot. Are you more likely to hire that attorney or the attorney that says, I can get this done for you. I'm going to go in. This is the law. This is what the judge is going to do, or this is what the judge should do.
A Class 1 felony is 4 to 15 years, or you can get probation.
Yes.
I would hire the person to tell me that information. If that lawyer tells me when you go into court you're going to get 4 years, I'm going to say to myself, well, how do you know this? Because I gave you a $5,000 retainer.
Right.
I don't know that because the judge does. I mean, that's up to the judge.
Yes.
And I'm like,
my experience in practicing before becoming a judge, I practiced for 14 years, is sometimes people want to hear what they want to hear. They want you to tell them what they want to hear.
Really?
And then when it doesn't go that way, they get upset with the attorney.
Okay.
They don't hire the attorney that tells them.
Really?
You're going to get 10 years for this. They don't. That's the reality.
I love it is. It's the reality. Yeah. Well, tell me what I want to hear. I want to work with Attorney General Kwame Raoul.
Okay.
I have a proposal to fix Chicago, and I want to work with him. I can't work with Mayor Lori Lightfoot. I love her. God bless her heart. She tries. I met her. Very, very nice woman. With the exception of her, Attorney General Kwame Raoul, his job titles are one thing, but there's something that's called above and beyond expectations.
Okay.
So when I sent him a proposal to fix Chicago, he's the Attorney General. Attorney General. I can't work with the new Burt Reynolds who's running the CPD right now, because he's not even from Chicago. He's from L.A. I want
Burt
to,
Reynolds. Okay.
and I'm trying to say to myself, give me Kwame, just give me Kwame.
Yes.
And they tell me this isn't in our job title. His people, we do Medicaid fraud, we do security. I mean, we do all this stuff, and I'm like, but he's the Attorney General. I mean, but yeah, I hear what you mean. The reality is reality. You are. So 2 questions for you. You worked for the Justice Department.
I did. Right out of law school, I worked for their immigration enforcement arm at that time. I'm not sure what it's called now, but what we focused on was illegal hiring of people who did not have their citizenship. And we made sure that companies were not, hiring individuals without the proper, documentation, and encompassed in that was also making sure that those individuals were not being abused. So making sure that they were being paid livable wages, the work hours were up to the, within the parameters of U.S. law, because many times they would hire, and this is prior to Trump,
2013.
Yes.
I remember those days.
So, right. So it was more about protecting from abuse.
Right. They think that someone is here illegally, and corporations said, well, we could hire them and just treat them.
Exactly. Who are they going to tell?
Right. Right. I can't call the police. I'm not supposed to be at.
Right.
It's sad. And God bless your heart, because that's a good thing that you do. This immigration thing has been going on for God so long. This border wall, I think it's big business. They have been talking about this wall since I was born. With all the money that they have made in Congress going back and forth, we could have had 3 walls. And I'm with my homie Comey, the former FBI director. Yes. We welcome you in America. That's who we are.
Yes.
When you go to Russia, they're typically Russians. You go to Africa, they're typically African Americans. Mexico, they're typically Hispanics. When you come to America, we have Asians. We have everybody.
It's a melting pot.
Yeah. So we welcome you, but you have to come in the correct way so we can have you documented, and we would love to help you out, because that's the type of country we are.
Ideally.
I mean, we're supposed to be. Unfortunately, it's just become this huge nightmare. And if I was the president, or if I was someone in charge, we're going to put up that wall, but we're going to have about 10 doors, if not 20. Just let's come in correct. We get one life. Let's enjoy it. We could help you. You could help us. Down in Mexico, they get about $3 an hour, if I'm not mistaken.
Right. Well, the issue is when you start to cherry pick who can come through the door. And that's the problem. And there you go. You're getting me to talk about these politics already. You're going to get me in trouble.
Oh, re-elect her.
Right. Let's talk about 176 Johnson for Justice.
176 Johnson for Justice.
Right. But that's the issue with the immigration is, yes, you can come here, but you have to do X, Y, Z, or you have to fit into this particular category. And that's the issue. There are plenty of resources here for everyone. There are plenty of natural resources. And I think people rely on the fear of citizens when they use fear to keep others out. And they want us to believe that there aren't enough resources. If they come here, there aren't enough jobs. There aren't enough, there isn't enough money to feed everyone. They're going to take all of our government resources. They're going to get on, public aid, etc. And that's not the case. That's relying on people's fear to help promote certain agendas. But there's plenty for everyone here, and I think we do need to welcome our welcome others with open arms, regardless of where they're coming from. But of course, that's above my pay grade, so I'll leave that to the people that make those decisions.
That's one of America's problems, is that a lot of people don't know. We have too much money.
Yes.
We have a lot of money. And
Absolutely.
sometimes when you have a lot of money, you get bored.
Okay.
And when you get bored, I mean, I could vouch for this. Sometimes you just start looking around to get into something.
Or you want to keep it. You're afraid of losing it,
Yeah, my girl, she does. Yeah, I just,
All you have to do is look at one skyscraper. Sometimes I look at one of the hotels downtown, and I know what we pay for a hotel room, and I say, okay, so that was one night. And you look at the number of rooms that are there, and just calculate how much that one building is earning.
I did that,
yes.
But in a different way. I'm
right.
driving down the street one day, minding my own business, not bothering anyone. I look up, I see all these buildings, and I see all the condos, I see all the lights, and I'm like, how much money do we have from the taxes from
Absolutely.
all this stuff? Why can't we fix Chicago?
Yes.
So I'm calling Kwame Raoul. I'm going to have to, we're going to have to take control, because
yes.
our mayor needs help. And,
Absolutely.
but it's good that you are going to run for appellate.
Yes, and these are the type of issues that could find themselves before the appellate court.
Yeah.
When the executive branch or the legislative branch issues, enacts certain laws, or one example is a travel ban, it's a judge that declares it unconstitutional. And so that's, of course, on the federal side, but similarly at the state courts, it's going to be a judge that declares these local, policies or ordinances to be constitutional or unconstitutional. And so it's very important to know who we're putting in these positions, what their history is, their background, their experiences, because they're going to bring that with them under that robe to that courtroom when they're making those decisions. We have a lot of discretion, meaning the law gives us certain parameters, but there are those gray areas there, and it's up to us to determine whether or not a particular case fits within that particular box. And that's where our discretion comes in, and you need to know, how is that judge or that candidate going to utilize that discretion when they're in the courtroom? Is that discretion going to help me, or is it more likely to hurt me? And the time to wonder, the time to investigate that is before you go into the polling booth, not after they're in the courtroom, not after they're elected and you have to walk into the courtroom and you're standing before the bench wondering, oh goodness, what does this person think about, our immigration policies? Or have they ever met a black person before? Or have they ever met a Latino? Or, what are their feelings about that? Do they are they Sox or Cubs?
I only wear it because I'm from the South Side.
Right.
That's the only reason why I wear this. A lot of people say, you're a Sox fan? No, I went to school at Abbott across the Robert Taylor homes.
Yes.
And everyone wore these. Half of them didn't even know who played third base.
Right.
But I'm a Southsider.
Yeah.
I come up north and I want to let them know I'm here.
Well, I'll tell you, I'm a Southsider, but the reason that I'm a Sox fan is because my father, who's now deceased, was growing up during a time when African Americans could not go to games at Wrigley Field. And so he vowed that he would never go to a game at Wrigley Field.
Probably why they lost for 100 years.
That is very possible. So
karma.
So even though, of course, as time goes on, things change, our family's always been Sox fans because of that. So.
Do you drive by Wrigleyville and just say to yourself, wow, times have changed?
They have, and there have been occasions, particularly when they won the World Series,
suck.
that I thought, maybe I could go in, and then it's like, nah, I can't do it, and
it's just a party over there.
Right.
I don't like I think these sports players make a lot of money.
Yeah.
And I'm not trying to cap someone's salary, but I admire Michael Jordan and the Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, if I'm pronouncing his name right. He took a jab at Jordan, and I hate to disagree with Michael Jordan because he's the best player ever, but I do think what Kareem said was true. He said that Michael Jordan used his brand to capitalize off this. I'm using my name to help out the community. And he does. And I don't know what Michael Jordan does for the community or what he doesn't do, but I know what Kareem does, and I know how many hearts that he has touched.
Sure.
And I love Jordan. He's the best ball player. But where I'm going with this is for them not being able to allow African Americans and blacks to a Cubs game, and now later on you see 100 years later, you guys have been sucking anyway. You win one game out of 100 years, and all of a sudden, it's like, what are you proud of? You won one game out of 100 years? That's nothing to be proud of. But, I hear it.
Yeah, we have to remind people, from whence we came so that we don't, repeat the mistakes of the past. And, I've spent some time up in the northwest suburbs, and I see a lot of Cubs gear. So I hope that they'll still vote for me. Cubs fans are loyal.
What? We should probably, what? Oh, man. I'm going to do this for you. I never said this before. Yeah. Go Cubs.
Right. You're taking one for the team?
I'm going to take one for you.
Okay.
I think, you guys won out of 100 years.
Yes.
You did it.
Yeah. One of my good friends, Sean Tenner, is a Cubs fan and offers us tickets on a regular basis. So
I'd sell them.
One day we may take him up on it, but
sell them and I'd buy another keyboard.
But I want to get back to the philanthropy with respect to the sports figures. I think it's the same with respect to our judicial candidates. The way you get to know them is look at what have they done outside of the courtroom. What organizations do they belong to? How have they helped our community? Have they gone back to the schools to, encourage young people to go into the profession, to let them know that, they too can be in this position one day? Because we can't wear the robes forever. We have to begin to prepare our replacements. So, that's another way to get to know these elected officials. What are they doing for the community outside of election cycle? And then there's one other thing that I do inside the courtroom, which is I have Illinois Department of Employment Security come to the courtroom every Monday to assist people with finding work. I always have resources. If I know someone's hiring, I have it there in the courtroom to help people find work so that they can pay their child support, pay the maintenance, pay other debts, etc. And so I mentioned this earlier, but that's just an example of going over and beyond and caring for the community. And my husband always says, I don't care how much you know until I know how much you care. And so, the same goes for...
Say that one more time? I like that.
Right. I don't care how much you know until I know how much you care.
We're going to turn that into a song.
Okay.
I gotta hurry up and get it copywritten before your husband.
Oh, goodness.
But no, that's good.
Yes.
I like that.
Well, give him credit the first time.
I definitely will.
After that, you can
I definitely no. I like that saying.
Yes.
It's true.
Absolutely.
It's true, and you do that with the judge. I mean, you do both.
Yes. Yes.
A lot of programs that are out there that the average person has no idea.
Yeah, and so we are. Many of us, meaning members of the judiciary. I was a former chair of the Illinois Judicial Council, and my theme was courts connecting with communities. And so many of us on the council are taking or making the extra effort to bridging that gap, because for so long, because judges have these judicial canons where we can't say certain things, can't be affiliated with certain organizations, that people, don't know much about us, and are somewhat intimidated because they don't know. And so we've got to bridge that gap and let them know that we are still your servants. We're there to serve you. And we don't want to, it's no fun for us to incarcerate people, take them away from their families, or do things that are would affect not only you but your family for generations to come, and ultimately our community. Most of us are there because we want to help you. And usually, particularly in family court or small claims or debtors court, we see many people representing themselves because they cannot afford to hire attorneys. And so most
That's
judges...
what I would do. I would represent myself.
So, we can't advocate for you, but we can help walk you through the process. Okay, file your motion, file your discovery or issue the necessary discovery so that you can prepare your case. Go to the law library. There are resources that assist people free of charge. Cabrini Green Legal Clinic is still in existence.
I remember that.
They're very helpful.
I remember that when it first came out.
Yeah. CVLS, I can't tell you what it stands for right now, but that's another free legal resource.
CVLS.
Chicago Volunteer Legal
Oh, I'm sorry.
Services.
I was thinking of the consecutive vice lords.
Oh.
That's from Cabrini Greens too. That's what. Sorry, all day. But
right.
Yeah, CVLS. That's
right.
Okay. That's another one. But
right.
That's good.
Right. So we try to, refer them to those resources if they qualify, so that they can, we can truly administer justice. Yeah. Justice isn't, okay, I know more about the law than you do, so I'm going to, pounce on you and pound on you, which is there are some attorneys, when they get a pro se litigant, they think, okay, I'm going to win this one. But if we're truly interested in administering justice, judges shouldn't tolerate that. And at least give the pro se litigant a fighting chance,
right?
And be more interested in the substance of the case and how can we enter a ruling that's going to be equitable for all, that's going to make the best sense. I can give you a judgment for $100,000, but if the person's only working minimum wage, how does that help you? It doesn't.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Do you think one day that lawyers are going to be free for everybody? Good lawyers?
They're obligated to do so many, or encouraged to do so many pro bono hours per year. I don't know. I do have some concern for the profession because so many people are pro se litigants. Businesses, pro se means self-represented. Businesses, they can afford to hire attorneys, and so those attorneys are going to continue to prosper. But it's, the other areas of law like domestic relations, small claims, landlord-tenant, they're having a difficult time. And I think that also is why we're seeing so many more candidates running for judge, because the business just isn't there for them. Your
family must be very proud of you.
I think they are.
Do you have all kinds of nephews and nieces and kids calling you, Your Honor, but give me, that must be, your parties must be really cool wherever you have them. Your parties are probably bigger than mine.
No, but I'm going to invite you to the next one, to the victory party.
Wait, really?
And then have you invite all of your friends.
Really?
Yes.
That's an honor, Your Honor. Okay. Where's this party going to be at? The signature room? Like, how do you like? How do you? I mean, I could. What kind of party? I could just imagine. Like, I got a lot of friends in CPD. We'll wrap it up.
Okay.
I know you got it.
Okay.
I got a lot of friends in CPD, and I have some other friends,
Okay.
from other places. They're
Yeah.
like, and for some strange reason, I don't know why, my other friends tell me, CPD, they know how to party. They know how to
believe
drink.
you.
And I'm thinking, what do you mean they know how to party? They know how to drink. Yeah, I don't really drink. I mean, that's just not me. I smoke cigarettes, and that's the worst thing I do in life.
Okay.
Besides talk and annoying certain people. Can't you just go to a store and, like, just drink the same thing that they do? But I could just imagine your party. Like, you got people in robes coming. You got people walking around this mansion with the hammer and the gavel.
No, judges don't really party much. We're not the people who are front and center, life of the party people.
Really?
We're the thinkers in the back room.
Oh.
And we may show up if there's a judicial reception where judges are admitted free. That's where you'll see the judges.
Wonderful.
But otherwise, you're not going to see us just out partying unless it's election time.
I look forward to this party.
Okay, the victory party.
Victory party. Your Honor, it was an honor.
Thank you.
Thank you for coming here during
so
this corona process.
Oh, yes,
thing.
yes.
Yeah, germs. We're living life.
Yes.
We're going to get through it. We got Starbucks, and
yes.
I wish you nothing but the best, and I think you're going to do amazing, and I look forward to the day when the polls come out and it says that you have won, and I'm going to be like, man, I had her in here. That's cool.
Thank you so much. Yes, you're ahead of the curve. But I encourage everyone to go to my website, johnsonforjustice.org, and learn more about me, and then go to the polls. Punch 176. Tell everyone you know. Johnson for Justice, Sharon O. Johnson for the Illinois Appellate Court.
Tell everyone you know.
Yes.
I'm going to tell everyone I know. I'm going to be on this all day today.
Great. Fantastic.
All day today.
Thank you. Hear, hear.